Well, welcome back to another episode of Terri Talks on Tuesday. Yeah, we've been here. This is our second uh, go at it today. We're super excited for our guests. Again, our objective on these Tuesdays is to really help people develop financially and to put a premium on personal and financial development. And, it's the understanding that sometimes you don't need to be informed as much as you need to be reminded. So we're going to keep sharing and bringing folks to you that can help you, because even for my believers, it's not uh, the that money is evil. It says the love of money is the root of all evil. But that same book say that money answers all things. And so if we look around, you can't do much of nothing without it, right? And you need to, be able to put yourself in a great financial position. I mean, point blank, period. And here's the thing: why not? Why can't we normalize having more than enough than barely enough? And so this is Terri Talks. We're super excited, as you guys know. For those who are new to us, we talk with real people or converse with real people about real challenges and solutions and real estate investment. And today we have an amazing guest. I so love this dude, not just as a financial advisor, but just his whole being and what he projects and who he is and what he believes. Now, not aligned with everything, but one thing I do know is that he wants people to be in a position financially to not just look good, but to be good. And a person that has that type of heart is all right with me. This is, we do some things together, some business together. We just do a lot of things together. He'll be a guest speaker at the upcoming Built to Last Summit. He'll be actually running a panel, have his own breakout session. I think he is trying to take over the summit. But that's just how important
Must be
what he
important.
that's just how important what he brings is, that we would have him. So without further ado, our guest today is Curtis May. And I'm going to allow you, sir, so that you don't have to fill in any holes a little bit later, to just share with the good people who you are and what you do and why we're here today.
Well, let me tell you, I like to start with what I'm known for, right? So I'm known for helping families kind of build their finances in to where they can achieve safety and freedom at the same time.
Okay.
Okay. And so, I really focus on four areas: protection, uh, what position? Where are you today? What do you know about what you have? Where would you like to be? Cash flow. Okay. Do you have a cash flow structure that puts you in an optimal position for savings and growth? Protection, is your protection optimized so that your plan works under all circumstances? Okay. You can't have a plan that only works when the sun is shining. And growth, acceleration over accumulation, or velocity over accumulation. And where are you in developing like your human life value to grow your property value? Are you, because if you're going to make more, you have to be worth more, because money is a result. And so that's kind of what I do, and just really, before people meet me, they have problems in these areas. They have gaps in their protection. They have no estate or legacy plan. They have an inefficient cash flow structure, and they have no cash flow outside of their paycheck. So I kind of address those as you work through our process.
Okay, so what's your name? And you know,
Huh?
what's your
Oh, no.
name?
My name is, uh, you want to know what my name is? My name is Curtis May,
Okay.
host of the, I'm sorry, um,
Yeah.
I thought I was famous, so important. I thought I already knew that. All right. So my name is Curtis May.
This guy.
I'm the host of the Practical Wealth Show podcast and the I guess the founder of Practical Wealth Solutions. Um, where we teach people the truth about money. Because what you know today will determine where you'll be at 5 to 10 years from now.
Love it. Thank you for giving us that. I mean, I know you are always anxious to dive in because you are that dude that's like, let's not talk about it. Let's be about it. Let's get right at it. However, a little proper greeting is always
Yeah.
warranted.
Hi.
And
Thank
what
you
I,
for having me. First of all, so I'm honored and humbled.
Great, 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 great. I know you are. And one of the things so you said all of that. You gave your four pillars or concentration. I don't know what you want to call it, but so I'm thinking like, so financial planning is just not about money.
No, financial planning is it's really more about. So financial planning has just the industry definition is helping average families spend, save, invest, insure, and plan for financial freedom. Okay.
Mhm.
And so investing is actually one of five things. And I would argue if I were to put them in order, it's number five. Most people think it's number one. And so good financial planning is more about provisioning. So if you're going to go on a long journey, or let's say you're taking a ship, I'm watching some show, historical show where they were taking, ships from London to the New World. They had to make sure they had to have provisions. They had to have stuff packed down. They didn't plan on because it was shiny. The sun was shining. It left England and sunny. They were going to run into the North Atlantic. They're going to run into rain clouds and storms. Well, that's your life, right? It's not going to
That's
be
your life.
sunny. You're going to have death. You're going to have illness. You're going to fall down. You could get disabled. So all of those things could happen. And so what you have to do is you have to prepare so that your plan works no matter what. It's supposed to work no matter what. And you can't just have a plan that works when markets are up, interest rates are down, and everything is perfect. And it's because it's not going to be that way.
Amen. And so one last question that is a little rhetorical and a little sarcastic, but you know how to flow with me. So financial planning is not just investing in the stock market.
Yes, I would argue some would argue. So here's what I call, because like to me, I separate saving from investing. Okay, because they're two separate things.
Mhm.
And then what most people think investing, I say, look, well, let's define it because I think we're talking about different things. So if you've heard of Warren Buffett, right? Uh,
Mhm.
he has a mentor. His name is Benjamin Grant. That was Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger's mentor. He says in his book called The Intelligent Investor. So this is my definition, right? Because
Okay.
if you say this, most people ain't even doing this. So investment is something upon thorough investigation. Okay, let's start with that. So that leaves most people out right there. They ain't investigating that. All right.
Well, dang, Curtis.
You've you've
They ain't-
been my
well,
experience sometime. All right. Not
they're not investigating what to invest in or an investment vehicle. They're not taking time to thoroughly investigate the investment
no,
vehicle.
because the powers that be they want you to think it's easy. So investing's work. Investing's about becoming something, not about buying something, right? So even in the definition is like, upon thorough investigation, you deploy your capital where you have one safety of principle. I mean, if you put in 10 grand, you're supposed to get back 10 grand. That's safety of principle. And you have a reasonable opportunity to make a profit. And this is me adding to that in the form of interest, dividends, or rents. Okay. And if it doesn't fit that definition, you are speculating because if you can't control whether it goes up or down, that's not investing. That's speculating. That's hope. You investing for capital gains, hoping the market go up. And I don't have a problem with the market or anything. I have a problem with people not knowing what the hell they're doing. Okay. I have a problem with where the foundation of the plan is based on hope. Hope ain't a good strategy, right?
No, it's not.
So that other than that, I have no strong feelings about the matter. Right. So the but that's it. So it's not right. You got to do a little more work than that. You got to, we always say it's about becoming rather than buying. So what do you want to become? Do you want to become a good business owner? Do you want to become a good real estate investor? Do you want to become a good paper, like a trader? A trader is that's papers. It's three
Sure.
asset classes: business, real estate, paper. Well, you can make money trading stock. You can make money buying individual stocks, but what the prerequisite is, you got to do work. You got to research the companies. You either got to, or you got to research the trading, because buying and holding in good companies, which people thought it was, is different from trading. They both work. I have clients that make money in both. I have people that make money with crypto, but they've been studying crypto for 6 years. They don't just take a flyer and hope it goes up, right? So that's what I guess deters a lot of people, because it's wrapped up and disguised as work.
Which I was on it earlier, and I said, it's crazy that people will say um, they want to get out of their situation, and they're tired of being in their situation. But the moment you give them opportunities to be in front of information or in rooms that'll help them, I don't have time. And I'm like, oh, but you have time, which you have a history, you have proof of concept of what time has done to you, which has you haven't moved forward, right? But you don't have time to position yourself to move the ball down the court or move the needle. That I like, I know I was getting ready to say I get it. I
I
don't,
don't get it.
I don't
It's
get it.
so
So,
if you don't want to do that, stop talking about it. You just, and or at some point you have to pull your own little red wagon, because if you're pointing the blame at somebody else, if you turn your hand, it's three fingers pointing back at you. And see, so you at some point, like, so Terry, one of the missions of Practical Wealth, and I draw a little arc whenever I'm thinking about what do I do. My goal is to take people from economic childhood to economic adulthood, right? Childhood children are dependent, right, on their parents. Uh, Economic children are dependent on bureaucracy, on governments to take care of them. If you are going to become an economic adult, you have to enter what I call the performance economy, and then you have to make two pledges. One is that I will never ask anybody to support my household, because I'm going to take control of my life, and you don't deserve any money from anybody unless you first create value first. Those are the two economic decisions if to move towards economic adulthood. And so that where you want there's one of my favorite football movies is The Replacements, and Keanu Reeves, uh when the coach first, he called a play, and the guy said, I called that play for you. It says, well, I read blitz. He says, winners want the ball. And by the end of the movie, it's like, Kurt, I just wanted the ball. He says, winners always do. So you got to want the ball,
sure.
when it comes to your personal economy. And most people don't really want the ball, because they want to be able to blame somebody if something goes wrong.
Which, I think it's a little asinine because there's no, and just to your point of taking them from childhood economics to adulthood, we also realize that what's supposed to happen in childhood, which is nurturing and development, often does not happen. And so therefore we have people who don't have a good relationship with money. They don't even know that they should have a relationship with money. And in fact, money is just really in their mindset what they need to pay bills or go buy clothes or buy something to eat. They don't even understand that money should be a tool, because they have not gone from childhood economics to adulthood economics. And so I love what you do and how you present things, because you can take anyone from point A to point B and help them level up, and sometimes without them even knowing it. But the point is, you have to want it. I was looking at Jesus and miracles, and a lot of people was healed as they went. Right, it's not, they had to do something, pick up your bed and walk. Right, there's some action that you have to take, and we'll just keep on providing rooms and opportunities for them to do that. But to your point, you have to be willing to get in the game and be able to position yourself to make a play. We have the summit coming up where you'll be there, and you'll be able to help people live in time, help them move the needle financially. But you got to get in the room. It's built to last summit.com. In fact, right now we have a Labor Day special going on. And so you should tap in, right? And as what you said about, being a part of that, being something, or in this case, being an investor or being fiscally responsible, requires you to have a growth mindset. And in having that growth mindset, you don't look at, these types of events or the money to attend these types of events as a hardship. You're not looking at the cost, you're looking
or a
at the
cost
value.
as the
Right,
value
you're
or the
looking at the
investment.
value
Yeah,
of
because most
how.
your number one asset is you,
Sure.
right? So if you want to grow, you have to invest in your mindset, what you watch, who you hang around, what you read about. Okay. You've got, so part of that, so you've got to get in rooms like the Built to Last Summit, right? And where you have with like-minded people that are trying to transform themselves, right? Transformations work, right? And so most of your friends, why are you going to that thing? You know, what we let's go out. It's happy hour on such and such a night, and you need to cut off the TV and cut off. I told my daughter she can't stand when I say extreme stuff like this. I said, listen, she heard me say something like, if you ain't making 100 grand a year, you don't need no damn cable. You need to cut the table off because you should be reading a book. Okay. So I like to get people's attention. So but I don't,
Well,
she's like,
you'll
she
definitely
has something like that. I,
you'll
I ain't got time to watch TV. I'm trying to,
you definitely stop the scroll with that. Somebody
yeah,
scrolling and they heard that, they would definitely stop
you
scrolling.
need to cut
But
off the
it but
TV.
but it's true, especially if you can't say you have all of these goals and you have all of these dreams and you want more for your children and you want to eventually move somewhere and you want to eventually retire on your own terms, and you don't want to have to wait for the retirement age, which, let me say this, I made a decision years ago that I was not going to wait for retirement age, because the way them jokers kept moving the number, I'm like, by the time I get to that number to retire, my quality of life would be shot, right? Trying to actually live. And so, but if you got all these goals and these visions and these dreams, nothing just happens. It happens when you invoke yourself to cause it to happen. And that is, position yourself to hear these, this stuff. And it's not a one-time event. We're ever evolving, which speaks to the being. That's how you actually be, and you become, and you remain being, is that you stay in the path of development and hearing and changing and transforming, and being getting a better version of you, better version of your finances. And that leads me to the next point, which is financial advising and financial planning. One of the things I love about you is that you're more of a holistic approach to financial planning. And I say that because I've had law enforcement job, I had, a nonprofit job, and, usually it was the Fidelities or, the Ameriprise that they sent us to. And there's no knock on that. You do what you do. But one of the things I found in the advisors that I had, it was limited to just investing in the stock market, and storing away, building up the 401k or the 403b. But it did not speak to everyday living, right? It did not speak to how can I advance me and my family today, tomorrow, and in the future. And so, talk a little bit about that, the importance of financial planning and how insurance factors into that. And then the three is a three-part question, but you answer it how you want. And then how can you leverage insurance for borrowing and saving?
So here's the framework. I try to take a holistic approach. So my framework is I teach financial principles. So I teach principle-based financial planning. Okay. Principles drive strategy and strategy drives tactics. And so the principles. So I'll go through them real fast, and then I'll kind of answer all three of them
And
as
save a little because we are having a free financial development masterclass tonight, which Curtis will be popping in tonight at 7. The link is in the chat, so you'll have that. So, if you
okay.
don't get to it all or don't have to, don't feel compelled to go in depth because we have a part 2 tonight.
Okay. So principles. I'll give you the first two principles, which are the foundation of what we teach. Principle one is save. Let me define saving: safe, liquid, accessible, guaranteed. My and the foundation of where we teach is maximum protection. Okay, so maximum protections are insurances, not just life insurance, but all insurance, because the insurance transfers risk, right? So if we start with that foundation, then what happens is one of the things that the savings, then it goes to where do you store your cash. So that's a tactic, that's a product. I believe in properly structured dividend paying whole life with a mutual company is a superior place to store your liquidity. The money that you have over and above, maybe have a month or so in the bank, what I call ATM money. Then we store our cash in whole life insurance structured for cash accumulation, because they don't work like I'm talking about out the box. We don't like universal life or index universal life. That's my third, it violates my third principle, which is full replacement of assets at death, guaranteed, right? So I know how they all work, but I have principles, and then I have to pick products that fulfill the principles. So there's an economic value of certainty, while I like whole life. But now what happens is, if you're saving, or what we call capitalizing, now what you have the ability to do is, what insurance gives you, one is access to your capital in a tax favored environment. And you get access to capital in uninterrupted compounding. So if people talk about compound interest, you really need velocity. You're not going to get anywhere with compound interest, but that's a component. But compounding works best over time, uninterrupted. So people say, well, Curtis, I got a high yield savings account. Okay. And let's say you got $20,000 in there and you need to withdraw 5. Okay. Well, how much is in your high yield savings account now? 10. Okay. But let's say you have $20,000 of cash value in your properly structured dividend paying whole life. Well, you could collateralize that, meaning borrow the insurance company's money. So you're not borrowing your own money, and then they'll give you $20,000. But meanwhile, your money is still in the policy, earning interest, dividends in a tax favored environment. And so what you want to do is, see, people talk about velocity of money. Insurance allows you to create, we call it utilization is a form of velocity, right? So you don't want to just sit there and let it accumulate. So we call it creating velocity with simultaneous use. So now I can take $1 that's in my insurance. Well, okay, is it a death benefit? Is growing in a tax favored account? Is earning an interest rate? I'm earning dividends. I can take a policy loan. I can take that policy loan and put it on down payment for an asset or rental property. I've got people that borrow against your policies. I had a young man that bought 2 cars, put them on hire cars, making $2,000 a month because he created a new asset, and then he's using that to pay back the loan. And guess what? He'll buy another one, right? So now none of that's reflected in, like, when people look at, oh, what's the interest rate? Interest rate is irrelevant, okay, of what the rate is on the policy. Because the policy is just storage. See, people think, oh, you see these things online, oh, building wealth and insurance. Insurance is a wealth transformation tool. It's a storage tool, right? You're going to make money with your intellectual capital, with your human life. That's when I say human life value from an economic standpoint, money follows assets, right? And your income follows your ability to create value in the marketplace. So for example, when you go to the summit, you're learning skills, negotiation skills, how to raise capital skills, how to analyze deal skills. Those skills are what generates revenue for you, solving other people's problems, right? And so you want to, you know, you've like I use my policies. I go to some type of thing every quarter, some type of personal development thing, because I'm in my number one asset, and I've 7x my income in the last 5 years investing in Curtis, right?
That's right.
That's what you got to do, because I'm the number one. There's no financial product that's made that in of itself is going to take you to glory. So there's no insurance policy, no fund. What is that thing? Ayn Rand says in the book, The Atlas Shrugged, it says, money is a great vehicle, but it can't replace you as the driver. So, but you have to be a good driver, right? Because you crash.
Yeah.
Most of
Yeah,
us ain't good
absolutely.
drivers. We can't drive a stick. We're driving and say, "Oh, like I can't get in the first second." You got to learn how to drive. That's what built to last. That's what Terry's about, and that's what this event is about. You got to learn how to be a good driver.
You gotta learn how to be a good driver. And the good thing about it is, you have you have driving instructors. Now, all aren't created equal, but you want to get in events where you do have driving instructors who are not just giving you the driver's manual, but that can lead you from red light to green light to the next stop sign, or what have you. So that is a great analogy. And yeah. So when you think about, financial planning and insurance being a part of that, which would be the protection umbrella, correct?
Yep.
Um, and you think about folks who um, may be undercovered or have coverage, but is not being totally leveraged like it can be in life. What do you think about that, and how do you how do you get people to be inclined to move over from that space and realize it's not just a product for death, it can be a product for life.
Well, it's never the product; it's the strategy, right? So you've got to learn uh, strategy. You've got to work with the right coaches. Insurance is a product, right? And so unless you have a coach that shows you how to use the features of the product to enhance your current and future personal economy, minimize current and future taxation, you know, it doesn't work. Like, so people, I hear people talking about, oh, I want to be the bank. And I'll say, well, or just, I got this policy from this guy and I want to be the bank. I was like, where's, did you read the book yet? And they go, what book? Red flag number one. So the book, Becoming Your Own Banker by R. Nelson Nash. So this is these, starters. So if they don't literally, if you talk to somebody, they ain't literally beating you over the head with the book, they don't do it. Okay. If you hear the word index universal life come out of their mouth, they don't do it.
He got on me about that and basically told me that I was misguided and I was unlearned and I needed to go back and learn. That's what he told me. He didn't quite tell me like that. He did a little bit more lovingly, but that's what he
No,
told
I,
me.
I don't know. I'm not. I don't know. I'm not loving.
Yes, you are in your own way. It might be
In my own way.
hard or tough,
Okay.
but well, let me say this. I'll say this. Um,
Don't tell anybody. I might be nice, but don't tell anybody.
well, I received it as love, and I received it as someone who doesn't want me to be, um, not only ignorant, around the something that's beneficial to me or not, or could be detrimental to me. Because here's the thing, sometimes it's not the actual thing that's more dangerous than the mindset around it. right? And so if you believe something and the belief is off about it, then that's, to me, is just as dangerous, because it's the difference between if you go after something or don't go after it, or whatever your approach is. So I'm going to say that I am lovable, and so you were being loving to me to help me, to be more astute and to be more learned in this space that I so love
Yeah,
to
because you
thrive in.
gotta, it's so, half the time when people call me, I'm unwinding them from bad missteps,
Sure.
uh, uh, they got the wrong stuff because the person, oh yeah, yeah, I can, even when you use the universal lifetime product, you can collateralize or borrow against the cash value, but that is not the proper product for the banking strategy, right? So when people hear that, they're saying, well, it gets a better rate of return. I can get the up to the market without the downside risk. But the first chapter in Nelson Nash's book, this is not about investing. This is not about rates of return. It's not about any of that kind of stuff. It's about the fact who controls the banking function in your life. And so most people don't understand the insurance policy is not the bank. So I'm
Say,
gonna
say
take
that.
that from the
Say
master class.
say say say. Okay, we're gonna say it again.
Well, I'll
Okay.
tell you, the insurance company is not the bank. So when people are saying that the bank, that it's the depository, that's where you're storing your cash. The bank is, because it's not, banking is a process. It's a system of money management, right? That was birthed through understanding Austrian economics, through understanding how banks make money, through understanding how to control capital in your life. So there's more to it than, chasing rates of return on a product. So most people are trying to sell you a product that the insurance industry is promoting. And it's you can do, you are grown, so you can do what you want. What I'm saying is that there's a strategy from, like, my pet peeve. I don't like the strategy of tax-free retirement inside of coming out of a product. Okay. Because insurance is not designed to generate income. You can
Okay. Can
massage
you
the
give
numbers.
us? Can you give? Put the tech. Okay. So you gave a concept, but give an example of what that looks like in
So
layman terms.
there's things out there where I'll see, well, okay, we're gonna fund this policy, and you're going to be able to use it. You can be the bank, and then you can turn around and then you can live on the money via policy loans, take loans out, and loans are tax free. So you can take out policy loans right off the sunset and retire tax free, on tax free income. Most people aren't saving nowhere near enough money to do that. Oh, I want to put in $400 a month. I want a tax free retirement. Really? Okay. And so, and even if you did fund it right, it's still suspect. Like, it could work, but you got to babysit it. And I don't like that, because most people don't watch. And most advisors that are selling this stuff are with some MLM type, company. And so they're going to be gone in 3 months, in 6 months. They're not
Multi-level
going to be a third.
marketing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Multi-level meets insurance is where I started, um, doing buy-term investor difference. But then
And
I
know that.
realized, yeah, I started in college. And when I realized the NBA was not looking for 5'11" shooting guards with a mediocre handle. So, and
This
so
guy.
that's the end of my dream.
So no, you're right. That that's how it was presented to me over 7 years ago, without really understanding that, just even in investing space, that's why people need to get started. Now there is something to be said for the ability to collapse time based on, folks you're around. That's why you got to get in the Built to Last Summit room, get around Curtis and I, and tap into the Practical Wealth Advisor network. But so you can collapse time, but for the most part, these things are, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, and you're building systematically, which is where the strategy comes from, or being strategic comes from, to then be able to implement, right?
Yeah, and it's tracking. So people will say, a lot of times, because I work, a lot with work real estate investors, small business owners that want to become and remain financially free, right? So what does that look like? So because the real estate, for example, since this is some is about, is a vehicle to get you to financial freedom. So when, how many, how much, right? So when I want to be financially free in 5 years, okay, what's it take that needs to show up in your account for you to be, because you don't want to retire, you want to become financially free, which is a capacity.
Yes.
Okay, so it's a capacity, right? So if you need $7,000 a month, then how many assets do you need to buy to really, I say double that, but at least,
That's right. That's
two,
right.
we call it getting to, excuse the language, Terry, we get to call it getting to a position of FU. Okay.
Okay. All right.
And,
Woo! At least you, usually you come in hot. At least you ease me into that
yeah,
one.
yes.
Okay, cool.
So passive income, twice your expense. That way, if some of you people don't pay rent, you're still financially free, right? You still
Yes.
can deal, right?
That's
So
right.
you got, again, planning is provisioning if things something going wrong. So I expect stuff to go wrong,
That's
right?
right.
So you got
That's
to
right.
create a margin. I don't, and I'm a very optimistic guy, but I do expect stuff to go wrong. I'm the defensive coordinator in your life, right? Terry's the offensive coordinator. The whole thing is about offense, but Curtis makes sure that you keep it whether the sun is shining or not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like my philosophy. So I go and I try to look at that. And then, but most people don't have a strategy. They're like, okay, well, then I want to put it. So if you want 15 doors in 3 years, well, okay, well, that's 5 a year, right? So if you're going to do 5 a year, so then, because like people want a 10-year plan or a 5-year plan, you need 5 1-year plans.
Yeah. That's right.
Okay.
No, that's right. And let me just say this: you're not a damn dapper Dan, right? The reality is, as long as we're going to live in this life, even, if you're a believer or not, we're told that in this life you're going to have trouble. Right? I mean, it's just the nature of living. But it's a difference between life happening to you and catching you by surprise versus you being in a position of readiness, right? And so, I see a lot of people and even investors, and they get mad. Curtis, I have a one-on-one coaching program, and before we even get to any kind of real estate investment strategy, we go through financial planning, business development, building out the infrastructure, right? Because again, to your point, that people don't have a doing problem; they have a being problem, and so that they don't build a infrastructure or a house sound enough that not when if something happens, but when it happens, they can't respond to it. And so right now we have a lot of investors who are stuck because of the last wave of the economy and the interest rates going up a quarter almost. It felt like it was every day that
Right.
they were increasing it. And so what did that mean? What did that translate to? People who relied on a strategy of refinancing couldn't refi. And so, or because it didn't make sense, or banks just wasn't refining them because it didn't make sense. They didn't meet the thresholds that, you need for it to make sense. And so then what did some of those folks have to do? Now, if the lender that they had was a small time lender and couldn't afford to keep their money out long, that money was due. It was due. And so some people ended up in foreclosure because they did not prioritize liquidity, because they did not prepare themselves. And so, listen, you don't have to shuck and jive here about potential emergencies or things going wrong, because that is a simple fact that things are going to go wrong. Right? And so, and I love you for just how adamant you are and passionate you are with your people, not just as another policy to be sold, but another place of a creating a space of positioning people for today, tomorrow, and later, emergency or not, living or not, right? Like, or, wanting to have a high quality of life. Everything costs money, right? Now there are some things you could do and it don't cost. But if you want to do some of the fun things and, your fitness, you want to eat a certain way, you have to have the personal economy to be able to do that. And that's not dependency on anybody else. That is, you are the rescuer in your own story and can be. And so, thank you for even saying that, and don't be apologetic. You usually aren't, so I don't know why you apologize for that. Amen. Amen.
Trying to be nice,
Okay. All right.
Um,
So talk a little bit about, as I, that's a great segue. I talked about building your personal economy. One of the things you're going to do at the summit, you and an amazing real estate investor, Janelle Wilson, you guys are going to, show people how to use your personal economy to and be the banker so that you can, buy more assets, right? Or position you to do some other things. Talk a little bit about that.
well, I mean, so I try to position I always go back to where does the policy fit in your personal economy, right? And so I view it as storage. So banking is a process. So a bank can't make a loan unless it has a deposit first. So you have to capitalize, meaning under consume and save the difference. So the best place to store cash is a properly structured dividend paying policy. And and when you get your so from your revenue from your rents to going into somebody's bank, why not yours, right? And if you are doing cash outs or refis, again, when you get that money, they're going into somebody's bank. So originally, uh, before Janelle and most investors, before I meet them, they're getting the money out, and then what do? They plow it into the next deal. And so, only thing that we're asking them to do is make a little pit stop and stop some of that money, into life insurance. And then what happens is you can collateralize it, meaning you can still get the money flowed into your next deal, but
Okay.
now your money is still in the policy earning interest and you have the property because equity, this is why I try to teach people what I call the financial physics, right? Because financial physics are understanding things like opportunity cost, compounding, because equity has zero rate of return. Okay. And see, so it's trapped in the house, and people assume that, oh, I'll just refinance. Well, okay. What if the rates go up and you can't?
That's
What if
right.
you get fall and you break a leg and you can't go to work and you're disabled and your income is dropped? See, that's what I mean. You have to plan for stuff going wrong, right?
Or what if you refinance and that difference of payment, you have nothing to support that? That now that new payment that is due, that has went up, what do you do?
Yeah. Well, again, you should have known that before you bought the damn thing, right? You make money when you buy it, but but if you had liquidity, then you could leverage your policy.
Yes.
I know, but I'm saying is, but I'm starting from the get go. See, but that's your safety net, right? Because the number one problem I see is lack of access to capital. You know, there's a lot of great, superstar investors that because of property taxes going up, because of rates going high, and not completely following strategy, I told them, but just not having the liquidity they need to have, and so we've always been a situation where they're smart and they could always just money was comes easily and frequently, right? And they could just always find another deal, work out a new problem, sell the stuff, and then but if markets contract, they're still going to all be fine, right?
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
you could be more fine with less,
Yes.
with less stress,
Yes.
if you have more liquidity, because people think, oh, I've got to be fully invested all the time. Well, I don't know. Warren Buffett has like $160 billion in cash. Why is that? Okay. And I'm not saying sit, because you can't make money saving. All right. Understand me. You have to create velocity, which is cash flow, but you also got to have dry powder. So, because what does Nelson Nash say? Those who have the gold make the rules. All right.
That's right.
And so if you have money or capital, available, opportunities will find you. So you don't need to be fully invested. You need a few good hits, you know. And Buffett would say you need like 8 or 5 or 10 real good ones. That's what
Mm-hmm.
Berkshire Hathaway is built on. And so
Mm-hmm.
like just
Mm-hmm.
looking at them, and then when you see it, you need to have one, the knowledge to know it's a good opportunity, and then the capital or access to capital, meaning other people's money, a lot of time. Because see, I'm not saying you all the money is going to come through a policy. The policy is storage, right? So, but when your profit should be stored in a policy, but it takes a minute to save $100,000. So you do want to get access to other people's money, okay?
Yeah,
But
absolutely. But I think we want to put a priority on, and you tell me if I'm wrong on this. Well, here's what. So tonight we're doing a free class, and it's called 30K in 30 days, and the emphasis is on multiple streams of income, and kind of leveraging, even what you do have, right? So in the case of insurance, isn't it also um, important that if you have and I don't you have a product like insurance, that you can use it to your advantage, right? So even though it'll take you a while to get to a certain place, but even that can be challenged, if you have a vehicle that can help you make more or do more things, why
right.
not use it and maximize the use of it? Correct.
Yeah, no, 100%. You got
Okay.
to have it. It's got to be, structured. You got to have a good coach. But yeah,
Curtis May, where can they find you, sir? And you'll
so they
say,
can find me Practical Wealth. Uh, what is it called? Practicalwealth.net,
sir, what
and
you gonna do?
or IG Curtis May 4777. But basically, go to practicalwealthsolutions.net. That's the best place to find me. Or you can search on YouTube @Curtis May, or just search for the Practical Wealth Show podcast. And both of those places have my link tree. So if you like to have a conversation, you can just schedule a strategy session. Tell us. I think a questionnaire will say, "How'd you find this?" Tell us you heard us on Terri Talks, and we may be nice to you. No, just kidding.
He's gonna handle you with care because again, for him, it's not just. And what I know about him, if he shouldn't sell you a policy, he's not gonna sell you a policy.
You
If
don't do.
he,
It's worse than that. If you don't do the homework, you don't. If I say read the book, you don't read the book. I'm not gonna let you do it because you don't understand it. And if you can't read an 85 page book to better your own financial future, what you want me to do? It's your money.
yeah. Listen, it gets no better than that with people who, again, don't is not hell bent on you just looking good. They want you to really be good for life, right? And for life is the here and now and the by and by, right? Because even when you go away, it's no longer about the living. It's no longer about the dead, it's about the living. And what you don't want to do is transfer that or leave that debt. A lot of folks are able to get where they are able to get because they're trust fund babies, right? Or because, insurance allows them to start a business when they get a certain age, or and so this guy is the other guy that I would recommend you to, and that I highly suggest that you tap in with because of his approach. I mean, his approach is knowledge is power, and I'm just adding this. It's also a great way of positioning you for today and for tomorrow for the long haul. So. Curtis, as we wrap up, because we have the free masterclass, how to make 30K in 30 day seminar this evening. We are driving the point of trying to help people become their own bank, and I know you can start them on that path, but I also know that you come with value. So you have a downloadable, right? That's free, that they could tap into to learn how to be the banker. And in fact, I think it's text be the banker if I'm not, if I'm,
Be the bank.
oh, be the bank.
Yeah, all
Okay.
caps, one word. Be the bank. To 55444.
Can you put that in the chat, please, sir? In the chat here
Yes. And
or on
so
YouTube.
what you're going to get on that report is we call it the value of liquidity. So a few case studies on if you have cash, things that you here we go. Okay. Things that you can do. Oh, here we go. I'm trying to find out where to type. All right, here we go. All right, so but that's a good thing. Like I'm big on like having people read, watch, listen. Um when people that make a point with us, I actually have a mini course called a banking mini course that we give our people. Some of my best interviews or lessons that we taught compiled in about 6 hours worth of stuff. 6 or 7 different videos. So I really want people to go deep. All right, hold it. Cat lock.
Yeah, and here's what I will say. We threw out terms there, because every space have a language. The football player doesn't say Curtis run right, then go through the middle, and then go through. He say Hut Dwayne do 55, 68, right? And he mentioned liquidity, which is another way of saying have more money stored and or stored in assets, right? That you can, if you did need to become more liquid, you could liquidate and be liquid. But that I also am in this space where I want to help people prioritize not just having enough or barely enough, but having more than enough. We can normalize that. That is not something even, and this is why mindset is so important, because I see a ton of real estate investors who are poor. They are poor in mind and poor in liquid cash and how they are doing their investing, because of their approach to it. He and I became more aligned because we both agree people don't have a doing problem, they have a being problem. And when you have a being problem, it's the difference between you responding with a knee jerk reaction with the latest thing, or you're counting the cost because you understand the cost and you understand what your profit should be. And so you're positioning yourself to ensure those profits. When you are in a place of stress, strain, and survival, it doesn't allow you to be more thoughtful about what it is you are doing. And so therefore you miss out on the opportunity to thrive and be and live. And so the way we approach these spaces is to help the latter, because the format is played out and it's not sustainable. It is exhausting and you make a ton of mistakes and you miss a ton of opportunities. But tap in with us and you'll see there are a ton of options, opportunities, and several outs.
There you go. Just keep moving forward. Keep looking. Keep learning. Keep trying.
Okay, that's great. I love that. But I want you to just have the last word and speak to 3 different groups. Okay. Give advice to 3 different groups. I'm making that up. But the first group is non-investors or people who may be struggling, right? They're living check to check, you know, and can't really see what they say the forest from the trees. And so financial planning may not be something that is on their radar. What would you say to them? That's the first group of people. The second group of people are people who are in the fray. They're suffering from analysis paralysis. They're in between, not living check to check. They have a couple bucks, but they, are unsure and they can't, they don't, no one has ever really said, look, let financial planning be the thing that guides you in making these next decisions. And then the third group is maybe someone seasoned. They have businesses. They prioritize liquidity. They have some investments, but they don't know how to scale, right? Or they're not in a scalable mindset. Speak, last words to those three groups of just some type of advice.
Well, I'm gonna give one thing for all three of them, because this is
Okay.
the common thing I
Okay.
see is they don't have a cash flow control structure, right? The game is won and lost in cash flow control. So
That's good.
we because you have to tell your money where to go instead of asking where it went. So if you're living paycheck to paycheck, your default position is to spend money because you think the purpose of money is to pay bills. Okay, so that's a philosophical problem. And so the way you're been taught to handle money is I'm gonna if I have any money left over, I'm gonna save it. Okay. Whereas if you read Rich Rich Man in Babylon, the first rule of wealth is part of all you earn is yours to keep. So that you have capital. So if you're saying that I can't go to the summit because I don't have the money, then you work all day and you can't afford a few $100s to invest in yourself so you can get yourself out of your situation. Okay. Two, if you're middle income, I would go back to then you make money to pay bills on time so that you can have good credit so you can buy stuff you can't afford to impress people you don't like and who don't care, right? And so when you are using bad debt or um, non-constructive debt, then what you're doing is you're using future earnings as collateral, right? You're spending money you've not yet earned, okay? And that plus the transfer of giving your profits away to the institution, that is keeping you stuck. You're on a
Yeah.
treadmill,
Yeah.
okay? And then with wealth,
Hamster wheel.
hamster wheel has to it's a hamster wheel,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so the other ones, I think that you have to double down and get around people that stretch you, right? So if you're in a room and you're the smartest person in the room, you need a new room, right?
Amen. Amen.
Everywhere I go, I want to be the smartest, the dumbest, brokest person there, right? Because so I work at that, right? So that I'm always stretched. I'm always learning new stuff. I'm always because success lies outside of comfort. So your knowledge has got you to a place, but there's always a new mountain to climb,
That's right.
right? Because it's not about the money, it's about growth. And man was designed for growth. Be fruitful and
And
multiply.
multiply.
So
Come
you're
on
you're
here, somebody.
there are my moments, right? But the wish I had somebody talking to me. All right, so the yeah, so that's the thing. I would stay green and growing. Then I'm reading new stuff. I'm getting around new people, and in my field, I thought I was doing well. So I got in some other rooms. I was like, yeah, I ain't doing nothing.
Yeah.
And you want to compete, but don't compare. But I'm competitive, and so that drives me because I see it all as a game. It's like, oh, okay, I was in Nebraska all last week, and I'm checking out these people. It's like, okay, where are they on their leader sheets? What are they doing? So now let me buy you a drink, or I'm gonna find out what you're doing. What they say in Vino Veritas, and so that I can learn from you and beat you, right? And then you're gonna
That's
learn from me and beat me, right? So, but that's the game. It's a game. It's not about scarcity. See, once you operate in a world of, and I battle with scarcity sometimes, but once you are in the thought process of prosperity, then you understand that there's more than enough for everybody to have more than enough. And so you have to learn to educate yourself, and you'll fight the class warfare and the scarcity thinking that you see, especially during election season. It's like this against that, the light skin against the dark skin, the field versus, it's the same thing. Okay. And so you have to know enough to separate facts from some soundbite you heard, with economics, with just some of the dumb stuff you see promised. I think that you've got to get beyond that stuff and not get so upset about this or that. You need to know the truth and stop letting people manipulate you and your emotions.
That's
So
right.
that was a
That's
thinly
right.
veiled, political statement, but but it's not about politics. It's about economics and it's about policy. So as you understand economics, you'll know what policies are good or bad for you, for the country. And I think that, but it starts with your personal economy because that's the only thing you could control, your production and consumption as a family unit. So guess what? That you're gonna win no matter what. As long as you understand, you can win no matter what.
Which is why it is about politics, but from a different place, right? So, it should drive you. And in this political and economic climate, there is dangerous, in my opinion, to not have multiple streams of income or to not have your family finances in tight and secured and or growing, right? So you may not have all the ducks in a row, but at least there are some ducks, right? Some people don't even have the ducks to put in a row. And so with that, I think it is definitely important that those things are prioritized based on what we see in the climates that we're in right now. I was just looking at the did you hear about that whole Chase Bank withdrawal and the people putting checks? It just happened yesterday. Some people going to jail.
So listen, first I don't watch the news. So I was on the road all day yesterday. I was in Toronto, but the the it's so many legal ways to make money. If you spent more
That's
time
right.
focusing on the opportunity that surrounds you, you don't have to do all these, because there's only three ways to make money: deception, coercion, and value creation. Right? And so the first two can land you in jail. One time I was speaking to these young, where they were these like ex-offenders, young youth. So I was like, listen, I told them that. I said, listen, y'all already tried the first two. That's why your ass is in here. Right? And I said, so let's try creating value for somebody else, which money is the result. And let's try a new thing.
So what
So
was the third one?
value creation. You saw money is a result of creating value in the marketplace. So work on creating value, solving problems. The problem when you get a tax break for buying real estate, you're solving the government problem. What they need is safe, clean, affordable housing. They're not a good money manager, housing real estate manager. You've seen the projects, so they give tax incentives to private investors to solve that problem. So the tax program is a stem. You read Tax Free Wealth by Tom Ruhr. The tax program is a stimulus program. So government is putting.
Well, wait. Because you're gonna talk about it more
I'm
tonight.
not, yeah, but I'm just saying
So,
they're putting incentives where they want you to put your money.
mm,
So be aware and do that.
and learn a little bit more. You can hear this and more insights and practical advice from Curtis tonight. The link is in the chat. It's a free masterclass. You do have to register for it, but this is the way. This is an opportunity for you to get in the room, to get what you need and advance to the next level. This man can go all day long. So because he knows what he knows and he's passionate about what he's passionate about, and he has helped people have proof of concept. So we want to make sure that we save a little for the people that are going to be in the room. And if you need like-minded people, because what do you do when you can't talk to church members about this stuff? What do you do when you can't talk to family members about it? I'm a first generational wealth builder, right? First time. And so you want to get in these rooms, so make sure you get in the room tonight. Curtis, the man of the hour, will be there tonight. And we look forward to seeing you. We do this thing and he does it well. So I'm going to do it here. Curtis, say goodbye to the good people.
All right, good people. We'll see you tonight later.
You didn't do it like you usually do. He usually says, goodbye, good people.
Oh.
All right, it's the end of the day.
I
I
forgot
appreciate you,
my cue.
sir. You are an amazing guest. You are more amazing person, and I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate your just your knowledge and your expertise. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I'll see you later on tonight.
All right, I appreciate it. Same to you, and I'll see y'all tonight.
Bye, everyone.